Hi everyone, so this is just a really impromptu video I'm doing. As you can see, I'm very relaxed at the moment, but that's one of the advantages of being a remote worker or nomad, that you're able to work from home. So anyway, a lot of people often ask me about Ryanair or other cheap airlines flights and how to get the best deals. So I thought I would just do an impromptu video telling you guys all about it. So, first of all, I would suggest sign up for Ryanair or any of the other budget airlines newsletters because that way you often get to be the first to know if there's a sale, or I believe with Ryanair, get 10% off on some flights as well. So that would be my first tip. The next is on Skyscanner to set alerts for flights that you are interested in. And then you get an alert if the price is dropping or going up, and that helps you make your decision. So, the other thing, this kind of applies to all budget airlines, but maybe Ryanair are slightly worse than others, and that would be the additional services. So, a lot of people have been charged extra recently because they don't know the hand luggage rules changed. So, with Ryanair and EasyJet, the freehand luggage is really small. It's like a laptop bag or a handbag. So a standard adult's sort of bag or those trolley bags don't get included in the fares. But if you either add one of the deals, so they do some sort of deals where you get like a seat reservation and the two bags or even a hold luggage bag, that often works out cheaper. Or EasyJet do a flexi fare, which is really good because you get everything. The flexi fares are a lot more expensive, but if you think you might want to change the date even to a more expensive flight, then you get that for free. I think you have to pay the difference in fare price if the new one's more though. And you get priority everything like security, bag drop, boarding, you get a free reserved seat and it's one of the good seats also, like in row 2 or 3. I think in row 1 you have to pay more, but so like everything is done for you. You even get money and allowance on board to spend on the food. So like literally everything is done, and you get the two hand luggage bags and also a hold bag. I think you get 23 kilograms also. So if you add up all of these things individually, and given the flexibility that you're able to change the date should you want to, even without changing the date, is still a good deal. Um, Getting all of these extras in one price that you just don't need to worry about at all. So you won't need to worry about all of them, the emails that they send trying to sell you extra services, because you already have those services for free. And it's kind of nice being like one of the first people on the plane and then the first person off. So um the only thing it doesn't get is lounge access, but if you do want to access a lounge before your flight, then I put two links in the description below that give you access to that. There are also some Amex cards that do give you access to that also. The other thing is always travel Monday to Thursday if you're able to. Often those are when the cheapest flights are. Again, the cheapest ones are early morning, late evening. But that sometimes works out well because you add almost 2 days to your holiday if you start flying in the morning. You have the day in your destination and then you don't fly back till the evening. I've actually been on day trips to Gibraltar and Denmark just by using morning and evening flights. So that's another good option. Or at least add additional things like the bag when you book the flight. If you start adding it later, it's sometimes more expensive, and then it's even more expensive when you get to the airport. So those are things that you should probably do at the same time you reserve your flight. if you know that there won't be any sort of reason why you won't make that flight. And on that note, travel insurance is really important. We know that things do happen, like maybe you get ill, one of your family members gets ill, and you aren't able to take that holiday, something happens. And that's why you should have insurance when you book the flight. So the start date should be the date that you paid for the flight or the holiday, and not just on the day you leave. Another thing is to use in private mode when checking for flights, as if airlines know that you want a flight on a certain date or destination, they do sometimes send you adverts or emails even and try and up the price a little bit. It's always better to browse in private, and also use a VPN to see if it's cheaper to pay for your flight, say in euros rather than pounds. That's another option. Like, prices do vary depending on where you are, and the good thing about a VPN is that you're able to pretend and trick the system into thinking that, say, you're in another place where fares are cheaper. And if you're worried about paying in a different currency, like if you're British, you are worried about paying in euros, there are ways around that. Again, links in the description there on how to do that. The other thing is whether you should think about, now travel's getting back to normal, using agencies or other flights where you don't book with the airline. That's probably a good bet, especially if you're getting a hotel deal as well, because then you automatically get more protection if something goes wrong with the flight or the airline, whether it's financial problems with the airline or more or less anything else really. Then you have a lot more protection because your money is held in a fund, and that way, if something does go wrong, then you have that ATOL or after protection. It just gives you a little bit more. Again, paying with something like an Amex is probably a good idea if the airline does accept Amex. Not all airlines do, but that way you'll be earning points. So, for example, I earn points on British Airways even if I'm flying on EasyJet or Ryanair, because I earn one Avios per pound anyway. So that's another thing. And another thing is joining the loyalty schemes. You do get slightly better service from the airline, especially if the flight is overbooked. You get priority over the other passengers who may be also fighting to get a seat on that flight. That's another good option to have, and you're earning points on every flight. You never know when one day, especially if you're planning a long haul flight, those points really do add up easily. They're not as good as it used to be, say 20 years ago, but they definitely do add up, especially for longer trips. So if it doesn't cost anything to join the airline's loyalty scheme, then you don't really have anything to lose by joining it, even if you only ever take one flight with them. So those are probably the best tips that I'm able to give in searching for cheap flights. To summarize, is looking at the baggage rules, look at everything if it's cheaper to get a deal, something where everything's included. Try and travel light where possible. I know some people find that hard, but don't forget, when you get to your destination, it's going to be possible to buy things, right? Unless you're flying to some remote village somewhere. Um, so don't panic about every single thing. Try and get a good deal on the extras like lounge access, for example. If you're flying on a budget airline where they don't serve food, the lounge serves food and drinks, right? And it's normally just an unlimited amount. So that often works out cheaper than buying stuff that they sell on the plane. Again, traveling dates, like looking at outside of school holiday days, is always best bet if you're able to. Looking at indirect flights also is another thing to do if you don't mind a change, particularly for long haul flights. And if you have a visa or you don't need a visa for somewhere, often it's possible to see another city in, say, 1 or 2 days, and you get to see a new city and you have a cheaper flight. So there's not much to complain about there. Avoid the layovers where it's very tight. So say you only have 50 minutes or 1 hour, that's just going to cause you a lot of stress. It might even be cheaper sometimes if there's an indirect flight through another city. If say the cheaper flight is €100 less, and you need to have an overnight stay somewhere else, the hotel is €50. Well, you're still €50 in profit, and you got to sort to see another city. That's actually what I did when I did London, Buenos Aires. I stopped in Madrid for one night because it was, even with paying for somewhere to stay for one night, I still saved money and got to see Madrid. So those are probably all of my tips for budget airlines and traveling cheaply but safely. If you do have any questions, check out my Facebook page too, and as always, please subscribe. You can write below. I'm always happy to hear from people wherever they are in the world, what places they've traveled to, what they do, where they're viewing me from, what's the favorite place they've traveled to. So feel free to send me a message, and if you're looking for any deals on flights, tours, taxis, anything like that, insurance, then send me a message and we'll put something together that's personalized for you, or just have a look at the links below. But for now, goodbye from England, and I'll be back soon with a different video.